Welcome once again to Chelan County Connection. I'm your host, Randy Rhodes. Today's guest, Sergeant Jason Reinfeld with the Chelan County Sheriff's Office, Department of Emergency Management. How are you?
Good, thank you.
It's been a little bit since I've seen you. How have you been?
I've been good, thank you. And you?
And very well, thank you very much. I know we had a little situation on Highway 97 by Wells Dam. Give us a little encapsulation of that from the last couple of weeks.
So that was, we've had a couple fires in the county over the past couple of weeks. Fortunately, they've been in locations where they're bordered by substances that aren't really flammable. The one you're talking about by Wells Dam just kind of burned both sides of the roads, and it kind of stopped itself when it got into the rocks up the hill. So we've been fortunate that things haven't spread.
You know, when I first moved here in the mid-90s from the coast, I was told there's 5 seasons here: spring, summer, fall, winter, and fire.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of true around here. Some are worse than the others.
Jason, we don't want to assume that folks know about evacuation levels, and that's a big part of why we're here today. What are the different evacuation levels?
So an easy way to look at it is ready, set, go, and those go along with our level 1, level 2, and level 3 evacuations. We initially, if there's a fire in the area, we'll put out a level 1 notification, and this is just an advisory. And typically, what we'll do with the level 1 is push that out via radio, social media, and possibly alert sense notifications to anyone nearby. If the fire is posing more of a threat and we see some potential hazard to residences, we'll bump that to a level 2. And at this point, residents need to start looking at prepping to evacuate just in case the fire keeps moving in closer and poses a bigger hazard. And level 2 is also a spot where we look for access, functional needs type people to actually evacuate, because anybody who might take a longer amount of time to get out of an area needs to start their evacuation process sooner. And finally, if we see an immediate threat to residents, we're going to put that area on a level 3 notification. So once we get to a level 2, we start working door to door, and we're handing out flyers with what the scenario is. Most of our flyers nowadays also have a QR code that can link you to an updated map that can show you what your notification level is. And then we'll, at any chance we have, we're going to come back to do a level 3 if the risk starts getting more serious.
So, quick question then. Ready is basically be aware. Set is you might want to be packing some very important belongings and papers. Go is simply that, go.
Yeah, we'd recommend you get out on a level 3.
I've often wondered what happens if there's a level 3 and folks don't leave.
So in Washington, we can't mandate people to leave their property. Property owners and residents have the right to stay and defend their property in our state. We definitely recommend it because of the fact that the hazards that the fire poses at that point. But there's no such thing as a sheriff coming and hauling you off your property.
And Sergeant Reinfeld, there's often times when road closures come into play on this.
Correct. We'll start putting out barricades. We have barricades for level 1, 2, and 3. Again, level 1 is it's an advisory, and that sign will be alongside a road if you're entering into an area that has a fire. Level 2, we'll put that barricade up, and that sign says we will only want local traffic only, residents and property owners to access the road at that point. And at a level 3, if at all possible, we're staffing that roadblock with a deputy just to ensure that only property owners and residents are accessing it. And they also, at that point, log entry and exit. So we do have a form that they'll fill out just so we know and we can account for who's within that level 3 area.
Our guest this time out on Chelan County Connection, Sergeant Jason Reinfeld with Chelan County Department of Emergency Management. Now, as far as decisions go, what's the sheriff's office role in making those evacuation decisions?
We work with the Unified Command on an incident management team when they arrive to manage a fire. It's our responsibility and our role to implement evacuations, but we're not fire experts. We rely on communications with fire personnel just to take into account all the factors that might put a neighborhood or residents in danger. So it's a group topic that's discussed, and we take several different things into account where we may have more knowledge than the fire personnel as far as access. If it's easy to exit an area, let's say if you have a rural road that goes deep into a long road with a neighborhood in it, and there's only one exit, that might cause us to push our level 2 or level 3 evacuation notices a lot earlier in the process, just because we know those people are going to need more time to get out of there, and it may not even be easy to get back in there to notify them again.
Jason, are there any recent examples of evacuations we've had to do?
Sure. Unfortunately, every year there's several examples of evacuations, but some of them that had a lot of impact in different ways. If we look a couple of years ago, we had the Rooster Comb fire, which took place just south of Appalachia area. I believe it started on the Met Howe Road area. The whole neighborhood there, probably about 180 degrees or more of that fire is surrounded by neighborhoods. So we're looking at a pretty high volume of notifications. So initially, the request came out to do a really broad level 2 evacuation, which, we're going door to door, and we only have so many deputies, and Wenatchee PD helped with that as well. So as things move along and rather quickly, we get with fire and say, all right, hey, let's get level 3 notifications, up against the brush, the neighborhoods that are right there and have a really high threat. We can prioritize the notifications there. And then when those are complete, we'll start working some level 2s just within a street or two of that initial evacuation. And as then time allows and we get a better assessment from the fire management team, we can then assess what we can either do to expand or contract that evacuation level. Another one that's really impactful is the Sunny Slope fire on the north end of town. That started out by Monitor, and it was rapid, and we were pretty constantly with large groups of deputies and Wenatchee PD and State Patrol just hitting everything along the brush, all those neighborhoods that side of the road that bordered the brush, getting them level 3 notifications, and then as time allowed, started doing those level 2s, and of course notifying the entire Sunny Slope area via level 1 social media pushes that there's a fire in the area. So it's just that whole evening, the initial evening, it was just kind of rolling with the fire, staying ahead of the fire, notifying the appropriate levels along the way.
Sergeant Reinfeld, if there are extended closures, are there certain accommodations made?
Yes. So we also want to advocate for people being able to live their lives and get the things that they need. An example of this would be the South Lakeshore fire. I believe this was 2 years ago. That started at 25 Mile Creek. There was a pretty extended period of time there where there was a lot of uncertainty where that fire was going to go. And so a portion of South Lakeshore was on a level 3 for, a couple of weeks. And we're aware as the sheriff's office, and we advocate for the neighborhood there. we need people to be able to get in and out, and also people kind of rely on things that several years ago they didn't, via the mail or UPS. People get their medications, a lot of things that they need just to survive get shipped. So at some point there, we work with the fire teams and make sure that deliveries can be sent into those zones. Just keep an eye on safety, and if there's any immediate threat, then that's going to be interrupted and stopped right away and get them out of there to safety.
Jason, we've heard it said, for example, in real estate, the three most important things are location, location, and location. When it comes to public notification, redundancy, redundancy, redundancy.
Correct. And this, we have a lot of different methods that we notify the public on evacuations. As I talked about before, let's say the fire starts in an area. Our first thing that we're going to probably get out there is a level 1 notification, unless it's right up against a neighborhood. That push on that lowest level is going to go to our Chelan County Sheriff's Office Emergency Management Facebook page. It'll also hit the Chelan County page, and then the emergency incident map that's also located on the EM county page is going to be updated. And so this is the lowest level, and it's with that map updated. Another thing that you can do is type in your address on the map, and you'll find out what level you're at. So that's one method there. The other way is the media pushing out that information, and that's a great way to get the word out. Anybody who's listening to the radio is going to be able to get the current information. And then we also we push out alert sense notifications as well. And this, if you're signed up to alert sense, you'll get this alert. However, you're not required to have alert sense. You just may get a lot more alerts within the county. The biggest one we do is called IPOS. It's Integrated Public Alert and Warning System. And this is where we actually take over cell towers, take over EAS alerts, emergency alert systems, and it pushes, overrides other things and gets the message out. So as far as the phones go, cell phone, we will draw out a polygon on a map, and whatever this alert is, let's say it's a level 3 in Sunny Slope, we'll put that on the map, and then anybody who's already in that zone will automatically be alerted just with their phone's location services knows they're in that area. They'll get that message. Likewise, it'll be pushed out to the radio stations and television on the EAS.
And your social media, the website and the Facebook page with the interactive maps, that's critical.
It is. We have, especially with our emergency management, we have, I believe, over 40,000 followers on our Facebook page, and it's really active. There's a lot of great information during a fire. We keep it updated, and as well as public often comments on there. We get a lot of people comment, "Hey, I have a pasture that's at such and such location. If you need to get your horses taken somewhere," we get a lot of good messages on there to help during the fires. And if we have time in our office, can actually answer some of those questions as well when they come in.
Chelan County is a fairly large county, and for folks that live in rural areas, what can they do to keep top of mind potential evacuations coming up?
So one thing to do is don't start thinking about it when the fire comes along. Start having a plan early on. Make a plan. A lot of the people in the rural areas have livestock or horses or a lot of animals. You need to have a plan in place beforehand of, hey, what am I going to do if I need to get my animals out of this area, and where am I going to take them? And that's one of those things as well, where that might be a level 2 is your time to get out of there. If you have a lot of things to get out, a level 2 is probably when you want to start loading the horse trailer, because it's going to take a lot more time. So if you have your plan on what you're going to do, you may also need to have a secondary escape route in case your first one has fire on it. Some people may only have one escape route, and at that case, you might want to plan ahead, kind of a safe zone. If you have one nearby that doesn't have a lot of brush, doesn't have a lot of trees, kind of maybe just an open area where you can get to if you can't escape your area.
And, a good idea to remember neighbors, philosophy of neighbors helping neighbors. Let's say maybe you have a neighbor that's elderly or infirm. They need your help, but you can't do it at the risk of putting yourself in peril.
Yeah, you should always just exercise judgment on that. We don't want people, entering a fire zone and putting themselves in extra hazard. But if you do have a special needs neighbor, it would be a good idea to keep tabs on them. Hey, if you get a level 2 notification, tie in with them, see if they need some help getting out. Notify us. Say, hey, my neighbor is going to need some extra help getting out of there, and we can start working on a plan to help them move.
Well, as it does every year, fire season is ramping up. First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for your service to our community and your whole crew. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
All right, our guest this time out on Chelan County Connection, Sergeant Jason Reinfeld, Chelan County Department of Emergency Management. Real quick, any final thoughts?
Just, every year we're going to have fires, and as the sheriff's office is going to work with you to make sure you're able to access your property. Please work with us as well. We do put a lot into our decisions for evacuation levels, and if you are under a level 3, there's a reason for it. And the biggest goal is life safety, and we also want to protect our firefighters and those who are working in the area. So we do have reasons for the evacuation levels we put up.
Sergeant Jason Reinfeld, thanks for your time. And again, thank you sincerely for your service.
Thanks. Take care.